Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that's going to change the way you look at relationships. And it's simple: don't text a man who ignores you. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, but I've been texting him for days, for weeks. Maybe I just need to try harder. Right, wrong. Let me tell you, you're not the problem. The problem is not you chasing after someone who's not giving you the time, the respect, or the attention you deserve. Self-worth, that's where it starts. You see, we spend so much time trying to prove ourselves to people who don't value us. But let me ask you this: why? Why should you be the one to fight for someone who isn't fighting for you? If someone is ignoring you, they're telling you something loud and clear. They're telling you you're not worth their time. But here's the thing: you are worth it. You're worth all the love, the respect, and the attention. You are worth a person who sees you, who appreciates you, and who will show up. So stop texting. Stop chasing. Understand your worth. Now, I'm not saying that men, or anyone for that matter, don't get busy. Life happens, things come up. But if someone is purposefully ignoring you, let me be clear, that's not a small thing. That's a lack of respect. And let me tell you something: respect is non-negotiable. If he's ignoring you, he's showing you that his time, his energy, and his focus are reserved for other things. You don't want to be with someone who doesn't respect you enough to respond. Emotional investment is a big deal, and I'm not just talking about relationships. I'm talking about your mental well-being. When you keep pouring into someone who's not pouring into you, it's like filling up a well with a bucket full of holes. It's draining, it's exhausting, and it's not worth it. Your time, your energy, your heart, they're precious. Protect them. Red flags are all around us. We're too quick to ignore them because we want things to work out so badly. But let me tell you this: when a man ignores you, that's a red flag. And it's not just one. It's a signal that his interest in you is either non-existent or fading fast. You don't need to wait around trying to turn things around. The flag's been raised. Pay attention to it. Walk away before it gets any worse. Now, confidence, that's the game changer. When you know who you are, when you know what you bring to the table, you won't chase anyone who doesn't deserve a seat at your table. Stop selling yourself short. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. The right person will see it. So stand tall, be proud, and walk away from the ones who don't see you for the treasure that you are. And finally, moving forward, let me tell you something: it's not about just cutting ties. It's about making space for better things, for better people, for a better life. When you stop chasing after the wrong person, you create the opportunity for the right one to come into your life. And that's what we're talking about today: growth. It's not about holding on to someone who doesn't care. It's about freeing yourself so you can rise. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't text a man who ignores you. Respect yourself enough to walk away. You deserve someone who values you, who wants to be there, who doesn't make you wonder where you stand. And when you stop texting him, you'll see you're not just letting go of him. You're letting go of everything that doesn't serve you. And that, my friends, is the first step toward a better you. Thank you. Make it. Self-worth is the foundation upon which everything in life is built. It's the lens through which we see ourselves and the world around us, and it influences the choices we make in our relationships, career, and personal life. When it comes to dating and relationships, many people struggle with knowing their worth, which can lead to them accepting behavior they don't deserve. The most important relationship you will ever have is the one with yourself. And it's essential that you know your value before you allow anyone else to define it. Imagine for a moment that you were an art collector. Would you spend your money on a piece that is cheap, worn out, and unappreciated? Or would you invest in something that is valuable, timeless, and worthy of attention? You are that valuable piece of art, and your self-worth is what determines how others see you. If you don't value yourself, how can you expect others to? If you constantly seek validation or attention from someone who is not giving it to you, you're sending the message that you don't think you deserve more. This can create an unhealthy cycle of needing reassurance, often at the expense of your own dignity and peace of mind. People who truly understand their self-worth don't have to chase after attention. They are comfortable being alone because they know that being alone doesn't equate to being lonely, it equates to peace. And peace, my friends, is priceless. When you understand your value, you'll stop chasing after people who don't prioritize you. You'll stop texting someone who ignores you because you'll recognize that their lack of attention is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of their inability to appreciate you. Self-worth means having the strength to walk away when the situation doesn't align with your values. It means standing firm when you realize that someone isn't giving you what you need emotionally. When you have a deep understanding of your worth, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You set boundaries, not because you want to push people away, but because you want to protect the most precious thing you have, your peace of mind. When you truly understand your value, you stop allowing anyone to dictate how you should feel about yourself. You don't need someone's validation to feel good about who you are. You don't need to receive constant affirmations to know that you are enough. The moment you realize that you are already complete, that you are already worthy of love and respect, you stop seeking it from those who can't provide it. Self-worth isn't about being arrogant or overly proud. It's about being grounded in who you are. It's about knowing your strengths and flaws, your successes and failures, and still standing tall unapologetically. It's about knowing that your happiness is not dependent on someone else's actions or approval. It's about being secure enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you, because you know that something better will come along when the time is right. So, if you're texting someone who ignores you, ask yourself, do you truly believe you deserve more? The answer should be yes, because you do. And once you recognize your self-worth, you will stop chasing after those who can't see it. You'll free yourself from the need for validation and start attracting the people who truly value you for the incredible person you are. Respect is one of the fundamental pillars of any healthy relationship, whether romantic, platonic, or professional. It's the glue that holds everything together. Without it, trust breaks down, communication falters, and feelings of disappointment and frustration begin to set in. When it comes to dating or interacting with someone, respect is non-negotiable. If a person is ignoring you, they're demonstrating a lack of respect for your time, your feelings, and your worth. And this is something you should never tolerate. At the heart of respect is the idea that both parties acknowledge each other's value as individuals. Respect doesn't mean agreeing with everything the other person says, or does it simply means recognizing that they deserve to be treated with kindness, courtesy, and consideration. When someone respects you, they show up for you. They make an effort to listen to you, engage with you, and make sure that your thoughts and emotions are valued. They don't make you feel like you are an afterthought or an inconvenience. If you are texting someone and consistently not receiving a response, that's a direct sign of disrespect. Now, let's be clear, life can get busy. People have their own obligations, responsibilities, and distractions. But the difference between someone who genuinely respects you and someone who doesn't is the effort they make to communicate, even when life gets hectic. A person who values you will at least acknowledge your messages, whether that means replying right away or letting you know they need time before they can respond properly. The key is consistency and consideration. On the other hand, someone who ignores you consistently is sending the message that you don't deserve their time or attention, and that's a clear sign of disrespect. When you experience this type of behavior, it's important to remember that you are not obligated to chase after respect. Respect isn't something that should be earned through effort or persistence. It should be given freely and willingly. If someone truly values you, they will make the effort to maintain contact, engage in conversation, and show interest in your life. Ignoring someone is an intentional act that communicates that the other person's presence is not valued, which is not something anyone should tolerate. Being treated with respect also involves the simple act of acknowledgement. When someone ignores you, they are essentially disregarding your presence in their life. This lack of acknowledgement can create feelings of isolation and self-doubt, which erode your self-esteem over time. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of trying to earn the respect of someone who isn't reciprocating. But you must remember that you don't need to chase respect. You deserve to be treated with decency and regard without having to beg for it. The simple truth is this: you should never feel like you have to beg someone to respect you. Respect should come naturally, as part of the relationship you share with others. If someone continuously ignores you, that's a clear indicator that they don't value you the way you deserve to be valued. And it's important to recognize this sign early on, before it becomes a pattern that leaves you questioning your self-worth. Respect is foundational, and you should never settle for anything less than a relationship that is built on mutual regard. Emotional investment is one of the most powerful forces in any relationship. It's the energy, time, and love you put into someone or something, and it plays a significant role in shaping how we feel and behave. However, emotional investment isn't something that should be given away freely to just anyone. It should be treated as something precious, and when it's not reciprocated, it can lead to exhaustion, disappointment, and heartache. When you invest emotionally in someone who isn't giving back, you're not just wasting your time, you're also draining your mental and emotional well-being. Investing emotionally in someone means that you care deeply about them. You think about their feelings, their well-being, and their happiness. You want to support them, be there for them, and share in their highs and lows. Emotional investment is not just about giving, it's about sharing a bond where both individuals contribute equally, creating a balance of care, attention, and commitment. However, when that investment isn't returned, it can cause an emotional imbalance. You may find yourself constantly reaching out, checking in, or hoping that the other person will notice your effort and match it. But when you're ignored, you begin to feel like your efforts are in vain. It's important to realize that emotional investment should be mutual. If you're constantly the one sending the texts, making the plans, and initiating the communication, yet the other person isn't reciprocating, it's a sign that they may not value your emotional energy in the way you deserve. In these situations, you can quickly begin to feel drained. Your emotional resources, your time, and your energy are all being spent trying to maintain something that isn't growing or thriving. Instead of feeling fulfilled and connected, you feel empty and frustrated. It's like trying to water a plant that refuses to bloom no matter how much you nourish it. Eventually, that plant will wilt because it isn't being nurtured in return. When you invest emotionally in someone who isn't giving back, it's easy to get stuck in a cycle of emotional depletion. You start to feel like you need to work harder to win their attention, their affection, or their response. But this mindset isn't healthy because it places the responsibility of your emotional happiness on someone else, which is not where it belongs. Your emotional health should not be dependent on the actions of another person, especially someone who isn't making the effort to meet you halfway. The truth is, you have to protect your emotional energy. When someone is ignoring you, it's a clear sign that they are not emotionally available or invested in you. This is when you need to recognize that continuing to pour into this person is not just ineffective, it's harmful. You deserve to invest your emotional energy into someone who reciprocates, someone who cares about you as much as you care about them. By continuing to chase someone who ignores you, you're not only wasting your time, you're also depleting yourself, leaving you less able to be present for the people who truly care about you. By learning to protect your emotional investment, you'll create a healthier dynamic in your relationships. You'll know when to pull back and when to preserve your energy. You'll stop expecting someone to give you what they're not capable of giving, and instead you'll focus on the relationships that nurture and replenish you. Emotional investment is a two-way street. If you're the only one driving, it's time to find a new road that leads to healthier, more fulfilling connections. Recognizing red flags is a crucial skill that can save you a lot of time, energy, and heartache in relationships. When it comes to someone who is ignoring you, the signs are often clear, but many people choose to overlook them or make excuses in the hope that things will improve. This is where self-awareness and emotional intelligence come into play. Ignoring you is not just an innocent mistake, it's a behavior that sends a strong message about the other person's priorities, their feelings toward you, and their level of respect for you. Recognizing these red flags early on can prevent you from getting deeper into a relationship that isn't healthy or reciprocal. When someone repeatedly ignores you, it's important to acknowledge that this behavior isn't random. It's a red flag that signals disinterest, a lack of respect, or an unwillingness to engage meaningfully with you. At the core of this behavior lies a fundamental lack of regard for your time and emotions. If someone cares about you, they will make the effort to respond, communicate, and show that you matter to them. Ignoring you, on the other hand, sends the opposite message: you're not important enough for me to acknowledge. And that's a hard truth to face, but facing it early on can help you avoid wasting more of your time trying to fix something that isn't meant to be. Red flags often show up in subtle ways at first, but over time they become more evident. Maybe the person initially seemed interested, texting back and showing enthusiasm in your conversations, but gradually their responses become fewer, delayed, or non-existent. At first, you might wonder if they're just busy or going through something personal, and you try to be patient. However, when this pattern continues over time, it becomes clear that the person isn't prioritizing you. This is where recognizing the red flag is vital. Ignoring you is a sign that they're emotionally unavailable or simply not interested in putting the effort into building or maintaining a meaningful connection. The danger of ignoring red flags is that it can lead to emotional investment in someone who is not emotionally available. You might convince yourself that with enough time and patience, the person will come around, that they'll finally see your worth, or that things will eventually get better. But in reality, you're only setting yourself up for more disappointment. Recognizing red flags early helps you make a conscious decision to walk away before you invest even more of yourself into a one-sided relationship. Additionally, ignoring red flags can also lead to a pattern of toxic relationships. When you fail to recognize when someone is not treating you with the care and attention you deserve, it sets the precedent that you're willing to tolerate poor behavior. Over time, this can erode your self-esteem and make it harder for you to establish healthy boundaries in future relationships. The more you ignore these early signs, the more likely it is that you'll continue to attract individuals who do not value you or your time. It's essential to understand that red flags are not always huge, dramatic signs. They can often be small, subtle actions or inactions like being ignored that accumulate over time. Once you start paying attention to these signals, you gain the power to make better choices. The sooner you recognize that someone isn't investing in the relationship, the sooner you can make the conscious decision to protect yourself from emotional harm. Recognizing these red flags isn't about being overly critical or pessimistic. It's about respecting yourself enough to walk away from situations that do not serve your best interests. Confidence is one of the most essential qualities you can develop in yourself, especially when navigating relationships. When you have confidence, you understand your worth, and you aren't afraid to walk away from situations or people that don't respect or appreciate you. Confidence isn't about being arrogant or overly proud. It's about having a deep-seated belief in yourself and in the value you bring to the table. And when someone ignores you, confidence is what helps you recognize that you don't need to chase after someone who is not investing in the relationship. Confidence begins with self-awareness. It's the understanding that you are worthy of love, attention, and respect without having to earn it through constant effort or validation from others. It's about knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's actions or approval. When you truly understand and believe in your worth, you stop seeking attention from people who aren't showing up for you. If someone is ignoring you, confidence allows you to acknowledge that this behavior is not a reflection of your value, but rather a sign of that person's lack of interest or commitment. And because you know your worth, you aren't willing to settle for anything less than mutual effort and respect. Being confident means you don't rely on someone else to make you feel good about yourself. Too often, we tie our sense of worth to how others treat us. If someone ignores us or doesn't respond to our messages, it can make us feel invisible or unimportant. But when you have confidence, you know that your value isn't contingent on the attention of others. Instead, you remind yourself that you are whole, valuable, and complete as you are. You don't need anyone to define your self-worth because you've already done that for yourself. Confidence also means having the strength to set boundaries. It means being able to walk away from someone who is not treating you the way you deserve. If someone consistently ignores you, the confident choice is to stop chasing after them. You don't need to keep texting, pleading, or making excuses for their behavior. Instead, you recognize that they are not prioritizing you, and you don't have to continue investing time and energy in a one-sided relationship. Your confidence will help you acknowledge when it's time to move on, knowing that there are people out there who will value you for the incredible person you are. Moreover, confidence allows you to let go of the fear of being alone. Often people continue to text or chase someone who is ignoring them because they are afraid of solitude or rejection. But a confident person understands that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Being alone can be empowering. It's a time for growth, reflection, and focusing on what truly matters. Confidence teaches you that it's better to be alone and at peace than to be in a relationship or situation where you're not being treated with respect or consideration. Lastly, confidence empowers you to attract the right people into your life. When you know your worth, you naturally draw others who share similar values and appreciate who you are. You don't have to settle for anyone who isn't putting in the same level of effort or emotional investment. People who are confident in themselves tend to create relationships that are balanced, respectful, and fulfilling because they know they deserve nothing less. Confidence is the key to freeing yourself from the emotional strain of chasing someone who is ignoring you. It's the recognition that your time, energy, and heart are too valuable to be spent on someone who isn't reciprocating your efforts. When you cultivate confidence, you give yourself the power to make choices that protect your peace, your well-being, and your emotional health. Moving forward is an essential part of growth and healing. It's the act of recognizing when something or someone is no longer serving you and having the courage to let it go in order to create space for better things to come into your life. This applies particularly in relationships where we often find ourselves holding on to connections or people who are not valuing us simply because we fear change or the unknown. But moving forward isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about embracing new opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and creating relationships that bring out the best in you. When someone ignores you, it can be easy to get stuck in a cycle of hoping they will change or that eventually they will give you the attention and respect you deserve. But the reality is that continuing to invest in someone who isn't reciprocating your effort is only going to keep you stagnant. Moving forward means accepting that you deserve more than being ignored or undervalued. It means acknowledging that your time and emotional energy are precious, and you have the right to invest them in relationships that nourish you, not drain you. Moving forward is also about recognizing your own worth. It's about taking control of your life and making the conscious decision to prioritize your own happiness and peace over waiting around for someone who is not showing up for you. When you stop chasing someone who ignores you, you create the space to focus on things that truly matter: your goals, your passions, and most importantly, your self-care. By releasing someone who doesn't respect you, you free yourself to invest that energy into your personal growth and the things that bring you joy. This process of moving forward can also help you break free from unhealthy patterns. Sometimes we stay in relationships or situations because we're afraid of being alone or fear that we won't find anyone better. But when you choose to move forward, you let go of those limiting beliefs. You start to realize that being alone doesn't mean being incomplete or unworthy. It means you are taking the time to heal, reflect, and learn what you truly need in a relationship. Moving forward allows you to gain clarity about what you want and need, so you're not stuck repeating past mistakes or holding on to toxic relationships. Additionally, moving forward doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending the experiences you had didn't matter. It means learning from them. Each relationship, whether it ends in disappointment or success, teaches you something valuable about yourself. Moving forward is about integrating those lessons and using them as stepping stones toward becoming a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. It's about taking the wisdom gained from past experiences and using it to make better choices in the future.